Hi and welcome back to my workshop. I'm Tony, and if you've been following me, you'll know I'm building another 1:6 scale Armortek tank. This time it is the Hetzer or the Jagdpanzer 38. And if you watched my last video, you saw that we applied all of the paint, got everything painted as I wanted it, as the base color, which would have been the factory yellow color coming out from Czechoslovakia in its time. Now it's time to apply the camo scheme. Now, I've done camo schemes on smaller scale stuff, so this is a bit different, and I am concerned and anxious about doing it, but we're at that. I've made that decision, and I'm just going to get stuck in. Now, this is the opportunity for you as the builder to almost personalize your tank and show your creativity. You can use either airbrushing or aerosol cans directly, or this particular method, which I'm going to show you that I've chosen here. So it's known as a hard edge camo scheme. I've chosen this particular scheme here. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. It's this one here. And this is a standard scheme that would have come out in Czechoslovakia back in its day. And ahead of the main painting, I did actually go ahead and paint the wheels, the colours that I wanted, following the scheme in the book. Now it's time to apply the camo. Now, there is a reference book. It's a guide. That's all it is. It's a guide. So, use it as a guide, but don't get too hung up about matching it perfectly. It's time that you can, you can tweak it and make it your own. And that's really sort of the fun part. So what I'll do in a moment, I will reset the camera and I'll show you how I go about doing this. I'm not saying it's the perfect way. It's just the way I'm going to go about doing this, and hopefully it turns out as well as I've got sort of sorted out in my head what I think it's going to look like. So I'm really looking forward to getting started. So I'll do that and I'll be straight back. Right, so just about ready to go. What you really need is a decent cutting mat. This is an A2 cutting mat. Now I've deliberately not cleaned this because I want it to be a little bit dusty, so I've just wiped it over my hands because I want the masking tape to be easily removed, not to struggle. And I'm using a relatively low tack one, so this is just a normal decorator's masking tape, and I'm just gonna, this is the widest one I could get hold of at the time. So this is about 2.5 inches, something like that. And then I'm going to overlap the masking tape like that. And I'm just going to build up, or make, if you like, a bit of a canvas for me to draw my camo on. Probably do one more. And if it puckers as you're doing this, don't worry, it'll be fine. So that's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing up some camo scheme, or the pattern. So this is just freestyling. So I'm going to use this flat edge here because that's going to be the bottom line of the skirting, if you like, on the side. So I can use that as a straight edge. And I'm just going to use my pencil just to draw some curves. Like so. That's the first one. If you can see that on there, you can, hopefully. Now we're going to cut that out using a very sharp scalpel. Getting as close to the line as possible, but don't worry if you don't. What you want to try and do is as continuous as much as possible. I'm not putting too much pressure on this. Just a light amount of pressure. At the end of the day, it's only cutting through microns of paper. But you'd be surprised how quickly these sharp scalpels blunt when cutting paper. I'm trying not to talk while I'm doing this because I'm trying to concentrate. Now this is going to be used to mask the parts of the yellow that I do not want to change colour. So I want, obviously when all the masking tape is removed, this particular piece that I'm cutting out here, underneath that will have the original yellow. Just going to see if I can see where I am with that. There we go, I can see that now. I'm always nervous doing this sort of stuff on the camera, because obviously if it goes wonky, you're going to see it. But I guess when I say wonky, you know, if I make a mistake, I guess that's the whole idea of what I'm trying to do here, so that you guys can see what's involved in this and the multiple things that you have to do to build a kit like this. So it's not just, you know, putting the mechanics together, it's doing all the electronics, it's painting it, detailing it, and that's what makes these kits, if you like, I think, so valuable. The sense of reward you get when you're working on kits like this, and they come out as well as you hope them to come out, and you've personalized them, that's when you really see the true value of these amazing kits. And yes, they're expensive, but it's only when you start working with them you start to really appreciate why they're that expensive. So that's that. Now I'm going to just cut this down here, remove this part just carefully so I can see that I've missed a bit there. Now I'm pulling from the top down because that's how I've layered the masking tape. So that's that one side. Now I'm going to just cut down and remove that. Now I'm going to use the back edge of my scalpel just to get that of course, because the camera's on, it's chosen to be awkward. There we go, got it coming now. Now you can use a pair of tweezers, or I prefer to use my hand, because then I can control if I've missed anything. So that's the first one cut out. Just got to tidy that up there. I can see. That's right. Just a. That's it. So that's it. There. Now I'm going to apply that to the tank. So I'll just I'll swing the camera around so you can see what I'm going to do. Right. So I'm now going to apply this piece that we've just cut out onto the tank. Now, this end, this is the idler wheel, and that's in the brown. So that suggests that this part here needs to be brown. So I'm going to leave. I'm just going to I'm going to overlap it ever so slightly. I'm just trying to see if you can see this in the camera. So I've got somewhere to peel the masking tape off. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this at all. I'm just going to allow that to dip inside that part there. And this is where it gets a bit awkward because you have got brackets and the like. So we just need to use the scalpel just to trim that to allow that to sit flat. Sorry, I've probably got my hand in the way. That's that. That'll probably go underneath that. And then I'm just going to do the same and I've got a pair of tweezers just to push that into place. So that's the first one on. I've already done some on the other side because this takes a long time. Don't go mad and putting too much pressure on getting this in. So what will happen is when I apply the brown to this, and hopefully when I remove all of the masking tape and I pull this off, we'll have the original yellow underneath where this is protecting. So that's the first one, and there's a long way to go. So what I'll probably end up doing is asking Ben to speed all of this up. So that's it. The yellow, I'm happy with the masking for the yellow. So everywhere you see a piece of masking tape on the tank, when removed, will obviously display the yellow base coat. Well, that's the plan. So I'm going to carry on. The next thing I'm going to do now is give it the brown coat. I'm going to give it a full coat of brown, and then we're going to need to let that dry and cure, and then we're going to do exactly the same thing again, but this time masking out the brown areas that we want to keep while we do the final coat of green. So as before, I'm just going to put my mask on and get some gloves on. Now obviously the tank itself has got a really good coat of paint on it. All I want to try and do here is just get in the brown in the areas that I want it to show. So I think we're about ready to go. So we start this side. Slightly nervous. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't put too much on this, just enough to get the colour wash on it. Quite happy how that's going on. If you are using aerosol cans, it's a good idea. Keep shaking the aerosol can, and you have a rag just to wipe any drips off. What you want to try and avoid is spotting the paint. The colours I'm using are what are in my reference book, but if you're not sure, you can ask me, or do a search on the old internet. This is a quick drying paint. Takes about 30 minutes between coats to dry. Well, I'm going to have to leave it longer before I put the masking tape on to do the green, so that the paint has enough time to cure and bond. So that's its first coat. Quite pleased with that. I'm going to leave that half an hour, and then we'll give it its second coat, and that'll be it. And then we'll leave the masking tape on, then we'll mask it, give it time to cure, and then we'll mask it off to do the green. So I'll be back as soon as I can. Right, so that's the brown cured. I've left it overnight, and I've spent hours, I mean hours, sort of cutting out the masking tape to protect the brown while I apply the top coat of green. In fact, my wife saw this morning. She said it looks like a box of like rotten bananas. I kind of get what she's saying, but anyway, the point is, this is the time when you can really explore your creativity. Like I said before, have some fun with this. Don't get too hung up on how it should look. You know, just play around with it. The masking tape is low tack, so you can pull it on, take it off, or whatever. I've tried to do some blending so that I get, you know, colours sort of matching. But you know, I can't. This is not going to be perfect, but I think it's good enough, and I think it's going to look pretty good when it's all complete. So what I do now is I'm just going to get myself ready. We'll apply the top final coat of the green, and then it's pretty much painted. And I guess the next stage for me would be to start weathering it and adding some detail with some weathering, which I'll do with you in real time. And then of course, actually, the big reveal. So we'll get the green on, sorry, and then we'll take all the masking tape off, and we'll see what the results are, and then we'll go on to do some weathering. So I'll just set myself up and we'll get cracking. So we're at the point of no return. Got my can ready, got my wiping rag ready, got my mask on, got my gloves on, and it's time to be brave and just hope, about all hopes, that this is going to turn out how I want it. There's a few loose little bits. Actually, I'll just go around and just, because this is low tack, just make sure. I mean, if you get a bit of overspray between them, I wouldn't worry too much about that, because in the field, when they camoed these themselves, it was never perfect. So don't worry too much. So I can just see some of the masking tape just starting to lift a bit. So I just better go around and do that. As I said, I mean, I know there's a bit of overspray between the brown and the base colour yellow, but I think it all goes to add to the effects. It's just starting to lift a few places. Yeah, so just making sure that it's all patted down just ahead of me spraying. I really hope this is going to turn out how I imagined it. And if you are planning to do a scheme like this, I hope this helps. Anyway, let's get cracking. This is probably going to need a couple of coats. I'm really excited and a little bit nervous about when I move the masking tape. Yes. Sorry, my wife just bought me a cup of coffee. So just take your time, there's no rush. These are the finishing touches to all of these kits, and as I said before, this is what makes this hobby so enjoyable. It's a bank holiday here in the UK, roads are busy. Don't know why people don't stay at home and build tanks. So much better than getting stuck in traffic jams. Anyway, talking about Armortek, as I said, I just love the fact that they thought about making the experience for the builder as personalised as possible, so that when this is completely finished, yes, they've gone to the trouble of building the kit, designing the kit, doing an amazing job on all the research that they do, but then you make it your own. As I said many times, imagine if you had 10 kits, all Hetzers, all stacked up. I guarantee you they'll all look different. They'll all be finished different. They'll have different detailing. Different finishing on them, different attachments, different accessories. So they are unique, if you like, to the builder. So I'll carry on. I'll wait for that to dry and then we'll give it its final coat. So that's it, that's the paint finished, or the green now cured. It's been on for about 45 minutes. I'm quite happy with the finish. So now it's the moment of truth. So I'm going to start removing the masking tape. So I'll start doing this and then Ben will probably speed it up. But what we'll do is we just talk you through the whole process, and it's just the first piece coming off. So that's a bit of brown. So far so good. And there's a bit of the yellow. And well, so far so good. Right, I've got a piece there. Yeah, I've got to remember where I've got all this. There you go. So I'm really pleased so far with the result, and you begin to see how it works. Now there's a little bit of overspray, but you know what, I think that kind of ties in with the whole look and feel of it. So I'm going to carry on and Ben will probably speed the whole process up. So that's it, my Hetzer is painted, and I have to say I'm really pleased. Now it's not a perfect representation of an actual era of, you know, a tank of this era, but it's my interpretation of it, and I'm really pleased at how it's come out. Considering I haven't done anything like this at this scale, I'm really pleased, because I was quite worried if the results. I had an inkling how to do it, and as you saw, step by step, I mean, it took a long time. I mean, hours and hours and hours. You're going to attempt to do something like this, you need to do it over a period of 2 to 3, possibly longer, 4 days, if so. And now I'm ready for weathering. I'm not going to weather it just yet, but I've got some ideas I'm going to use, but I think I need to weather it. Whether I'm going to start taking a hammer to it and damaging it, still not sure about that, I'm going to be honest with you, but I definitely will do some weathering on it. I think this kind of tank lends itself to that. I've got some amazing decals, markings for this type of tank. and I'll be putting those on. And whether I do that in real time with you guys or do it ahead of my next film, I don't know, because I'm keen to get the electronics sorted out. So the electronics now, the next big step for me. So just, I mean, it's all kind of working, but I need to get them all sorted out and tidied up inside, fit the sound audio unit and the speakers, and try and work out the best way of doing that. And I may well film all of that just so that I can get a handle on it and show you how I've gone about it. So that's it. I'm really pleased. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and you know what, if you're going to go and do this, you know, freestyle it. Don't worry about it. Just have some fun, enjoy yourself. This is the time, as I said before, you have an opportunity to completely personalize your Hetzer. So in my next video, it will be about electronics, and I may well have done the weathering, or I might do one separately to that. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. So I'd like to say thank you for joining me. Thanks for all of your support. Thanks for subscribing. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, because I have got tons more to do. We've got to finish this Hetzer off, get it operational, get it outside, driving around with its bigger brothers. And then, of course, we go on to my next project, which is the Series 1 Land Rover that I've now received from Armortek, but I will not be touching that until I've got this completely finished. So I'll just sign off by saying I'm Tony. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.